Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm Billy Mitchell, editor-in-chief of FedScoop, and today I have the pleasure of chatting with Amit Walia, CEO of Informatica, for Informatica's upcoming Data in Action Summit. Amit, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to finally catch up with you, and I'm excited to talk all things data management with you ahead of the summit coming up in a couple weeks. I'm very excited for that. I think today we should start with COVID-19. Obviously, it's a topic that's kind of front and center in everyone's mind, still several months into the pandemic. But I'd love to talk about how COVID-19 is impacting the way organizations are thinking about data management in this critical time, and perhaps how things have changed in those several months.
We'll talk about change. Obviously, a lot has changed, no doubt, since COVID hit us. And I think, to be candid, a lot has changed in terms of accelerating some of the transformations companies are going through. And I'd say the biggest thing that has happened is that across the board, needless to say, companies have gone remote. We've all figured out that digital is a new world. We've all figured out doing things differently. I think if I laid down a common thing, it's all things digital has accelerated. And what the world has gone from, it was digital modernization to genuine digital transformation. And I think that's the biggest change that we have seen. And but before we go in there, I think I would say that in the short term, a lot obviously has been difficulties that we've seen different parts of the world go through. Our own country has gone through that. And in fact, data has become a lot more important in this world because people have to understand where things are. Imagine where your patients are, where your PPP is, where drugs are, and what the right data is if you think about contact tracing. And in that context, we obviously penned a letter to the Congress. It was a data coalition. Fellow colleagues, CEOs, basically, we wrote to the Congress about how we need valid, reliable data to help us fight the pandemic in a much more thoughtful, data-driven way. And by the way, in that context, we also worked very closely with one of the hardest hit states in your neck of the woods in the early days, because they had a big issue of trying to get right quality data to figure out who's where and analyze health issues, where the virus was spreading. And they didn't have all the technology, and we helped them leverage our technology to understand how to bring the right equipment, PPE, ventilators to the right hospitals, to the right patients at the right time. So I think those things become a lot more prominent, and data became a lot more front and center in that journey.
Absolutely. You mentioned digital transformation, and that's something I want to stick with in a follow-up question. How do you see digital transformation across enterprises around the globe kind of expanding during this time?
Phenomenally. I mean, I'd say that if I have not seen the 3 years worth of acceleration of digital and digital transformation has happened in the last 6 months. And if you think about it, I mean, in this world, if I give you, there are 4 pillars of digital transformation. Companies thinking of new products and services to bring to their customers. In that context, engaging with their customers in a different way in the new digital world, building new operating models to bring these products and service to their customers, and even thinking of new business models to go execute all that stuff. That is a lot to do. And that's what I meant by transformation and not just modernization. And we've seen great companies do that across the board. Some of them are on that journey, so they've benefited in that process. And I've seen some of them accelerate that journey. To do that, we've seen best practices that companies think of 4 building blocks. First, it begins with having a strategic mindset, tops down. At the C level, it has to be permeated within the organization. Second big pillar to that, and I think you must be seeing that, is cloud. Cloud nativity is the massive underpinning to accelerate digital transformation. Third one, we just talked about that. You can't be digital without being data-led. Otherwise, you're uninformed. And last one is AI has played a very big role because we're dealing with so much complexity, so much scale, that AI helps you automate and complement and move forward at a rapid pace. That's what I see as I talk to our clients across the globe.
You mentioned in the opening question, partnership with the Data Coalition. You guys wrote a letter to Congress. Obviously, data is a big part of the pandemic response, but asking Congress to act around providing valid and reliable data for challenges such as COVID-19. So I'd love to dig in a little bit more to that letter and sort of what your role is in spurring Congress to act during this critical time.
Yeah, I think our biggest, at a fundamental way, I say, hey, just as the best innovative enterprises around the globe have leveraged data to make decisions, had leveraged data to make decisions on how to transform themselves, serve their customers better, make their products and services better. We recommended that the government do the same. We, the people, are the customers. The products and services are so many. I mean, the government is the biggest employer in the country, right? And a data-led approach will make us a lot smarter. We'll make the right decisions. And we can also make what I call just-in-time and also predictive decisions. In fact, one of the things that we also suggested in that is that the government should think of a CDO. I mean, the rise of the CDO, you see chief data officers is happening across the board. We just did a CDO survey with IDC, and we found today 59% of the enterprises have a CDO. So you can see it has come from 0 to 59 in the last couple of years. And I think thinking about data and then adding things like governance and privacy to that, because obviously you need the data to make good decisions. But as good stewards of data, we need to make sure it's governed and it's kept the right way from a privacy point of view, so we can all have trust in our stakeholders leveraging that data. So those were some of the key tenets of what we wrote to the Congress.
And finally, Amit, you mentioned the Chief Data Officer survey that you guys produced with IDC, and you're dead on that the federal agencies need CDOs, and the federal government is trying to expand that approach. So I think there's a lot of key insights that can be taken away from that survey. So I'd love to dig in a little bit more about the importance of the role of the CDO that you've seen globally. It doesn't have to be, specific to government, but across, different sectors, that role in modern enterprise, and what findings stood out to you the most from that survey that you guys just produced?
Well, first of all, very heartwarming to us was that data has become front and center to every organization's decision-making. It's the boardroom topic, it's the C-level topic. And with that, you can see that in our survey, we found that 59% of CDOs today report to a business leader. So you can see the chief digital officer is a big part of business decision-making. Either they're reporting to the CEO or a key leader who reports into the CDO. 80% of the CDO's key KPIs were tied to business, whether it is growing net new revenue, whether it is keeping their stakeholders' data trusted and private, whether it's operational productivity improvement, so on and so forth. And clearly, and we also see that more than half of the enterprises across the globe now have a CDO. So definitely you can see CDO role is rising. It is at the C-level, making business decisions, being part of business transformation versus an afterthought and more technical and backroom. Those to me stood out the most.
And Amit, as we wrap up today and we look at the expansion of that CDO role across different sectors, how is Informatica poised to play a role in that expansion?
Well, first of all, we've been a 27, 28-year-old company. And all that we have done in our entire lifetime is focus on data management. And obviously the rise of the CDO is nothing else but the affirmation from Informatica that data is becoming more and more and more strategic. Look, as a company, we are around the globe. We innovate with the leader in all the markets we compete in. And our goal is nothing else but twofold: innovate and make sure our customers are successful and happy. And when we look at those two guiding principles that guide us, and look, we have enterprise customers across the globe. We have federal customers. We basically work very closely with state and local as well. Our goal is to make sure that we want to bring data more front and center to every organization's success. And we see CDOs playing a very important role and being a key stakeholder to drive that. And we are right behind them.
Thanks, Amit, for your time today. That was a great response. I look forward to the next time we can chat, and I hope you stay safe and healthy.
Thank you very much.